Good afternoon. Say good afternoon. So glad to be here in Sharm El-Sheikh in Egypt with so many of you and with the great presenters that we have with us, both on the stage and those who will be coming up on the stage in just a moment. So my name is Jeff Sammons. I'm the Associate Executive Director of the Texas A&M Energy Institute, which is in the United States. And I'm pleased to start this off, a great climate and energy impact showcase. The thought process behind this is that in order for us to have positive impacts on the climate, one of the most important aspects to that is making very positive impacts on the energy transition, how we can make this energy transition done in the most efficient, in the most sustainable, the most just and equitable way. So what you'll see today are a number of presentations from universities in Egypt and Texas A&M University. We're going to go in order. We'll start with Texas A&M University, then we'll have the Arab Academy of Science and Technology, we'll have Assuit University, then we can go right in order. Unfortunately, our colleague from Badr University couldn't join us today, but we have a representative from Cairo University and Zagazig University, and then Galala. But before that, the two main catalysts for helping this come together were two partners. One, the Texas International Education Consortium, and two, Greentown Labs, which is a group from Houston. And so to start off and demonstrate and illustrate how this partnership came together that created this ability for us to showcase this, I would like to invite Lara Cottingham, Chief of Staff for Greentown Labs. Please come tell us about Greentown Labs.
Hello. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for the opportunity to join me today. My name is Lara Cottingham, and I am Chief of Staff at Greentown Labs, the largest climate tech incubator in North America. Our mission is to build an inclusive community that convenes and connects and inspires entrepreneurs and ecosystems to solve the climate crisis. Over the past 11 years, Greentown has supported about 500 climate tech companies who have created over 9,000 jobs and raised over $4 billion US, and nearly half of that was raised last year. So while this is a really exciting time to be in climate tech, to be an entrepreneur working in energy, we are here because the hardest path lies ahead. The urgency of the climate crisis means that we must all work together and faster than we ever have before. Much of the technology that we need to reach our climate goals either doesn't exist or is still in early stage R&D. Universities and researchers and students, like you're going to hear from today, like many of you here in the audience, are an incredible component of solving this problem and bridging that gap. That's why we created TIEC, the Texas Entrepreneurship Exchange for Energy. Greentown started in Boston over a decade ago with roots tied to MIT, a global leader in energy innovation and entrepreneurship. Our partners at the Martin Trust Center for Entrepreneurship literally wrote the book on how to create really successful companies. At Greentown, we expanded our operations to Houston about 1.5 years ago because there's no better place for us to increase our climate impact than in Houston, Texas, the energy capital of the world. But we don't want Houston just to be an energy capital of the world, we want it to be an energy transition capital of the world. So to build this Texas-sized energy and climate ecosystem, we work with universities across Texas. University of Houston, Rice University, Prairie View A&M, University of Texas, and Texas A&M. They draw students from all over the world, and they have an incredible history of training global leaders of energy and industry. TIEC is all about bringing these pieces together, combining Greentown and MIT's legacy of innovation and entrepreneurship with Texas history and energy technology. We bring together students, faculty, and researchers, and we offer courses in energy and climate entrepreneurship, internships, networking, all focused on helping students develop new technology and commercializing those technologies and getting them into communities that are most impacted by climate change. But it doesn't stop there. Thanks to our friends at Texas A&M and our mission of inspiring the next generation of climate tech entrepreneurs have gone international and found a home here in Egypt. And this is a powerful partnership that you're going to learn from and you're going to see today. Because imagine if just 1% of the students, of the engineers, the scientists, focus their efforts on developing the technology that we need to solve the climate crisis. That is the size and the scale of the impact and the action that we need. And I'm thrilled that you're going to get a glimpse of what we've been working on in Houston, back home, including some of our Texas fellows who we've been working with all year. So I invite you all to join us on our mission to develop the technology and the future leaders that we're going to need to solve and address climate change. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Well, I want to echo what Lara said, and Jeff, thank you for joining us. The Texas International Education Consortium, our business is connecting people, is connecting great ideas, because innovation, as we all know, happens all the time, every day, in large and small ways, right? It happens all the time. But we never want to see the limit of that innovation because nobody else knows about it, or because you don't have the right partner to join in your efforts. So what we do at TIEC is we bridge universities in Texas with universities around the world. And we've been so thrilled and so fortunate to be able to make connections between Texas and Egypt. You're looking at the slide right now about our University Partnership Accelerator. This is a program that we put together with generous contributions from the U.S. Embassy in Cairo that brought Egyptian universities all the way to Texas, where they work together with their counterparts all across the energy spectrum to look at what innovations are happening in Texas and to share what you're facing in Egypt and to jointly together come up with great ideas. Of course, this never can happen through one conversation. The real magic happens through many conversations, many projects together. So it takes time to build these relationships. Our hope is that from this one trip of our Texas faculty to Texas, our Egyptian faculty to Texas, that real partnerships will grow between students and faculty. And research is at the core, but so is industry. So we cannot find the next best solution to all the things that we face by just looking at something from our own environment, our own socioeconomic kind of surroundings. We've got to see how people are approaching it from different angles and different lenses. And that is everything at the core of what we do at TIEC. We know that Egyptian minds are coming up with ideas for the thing that's in front of them, and that there will be impact, or there will be use in other parts of the world. So that is the whole idea of COP, is bringing great minds together, bringing folks together who are looking for new solutions to problems they've been facing for a long time. And that's what we want to do through partnerships. So very happy to have been able to facilitate the connections between Egypt and Texas. And we are here to keep these things rolling. So thank you for joining us, and I'm excited to hear what the specific innovations that are happening. Thank you.
In the COP, we have seen most of the discussions on policy, collaboration, and even financing. But at the grassroots level, it comes down to developing these technologies. So I, on behalf of the Texas A&M Energy Institute, will kind of give a compilation of some of the cutting-edge technologies we develop for climate change. The unique point that we develop at the Texas A&M Energy Institute is that we apply a process systems approach to develop these technologies. And what does that mean? It has a couple of things that are attached to it. For example, we look at how actually, if you want to have a process that makes hydrogen, how actually do you make or design a plant or a reactor that is going to make this hydrogen? How can you optimize it so you can have the best yield if you are making this hydrogen? After you have done that, the second thing we look at is maybe, okay, now you have made it, how do you have the entire supply chain or the value chain? What are the different stakeholders? Or where do you store it? How safe it is, and so on and so forth. Apart from that, we also look at how resilient is the supply chain with disruptions that happens in wars in Russia or with COVID. So we look at those aspects as well because that can break down the entire structure. And then finally, the companies that are actually going to implement these kind of technologies always want to make a profit or going to make revenue. So we look at how the variation in energy prices or utility prices or crude oil prices affect the flow and development and implementation of these technologies. So we look into that. And finally, to make the entire circular loop, we look at the entire life cycle analysis or the circular economy aspects of it, where you are actually making, for example, lithium batteries, but are they actually, when you consider the whole thing, good for the environment or something like that. And we apply this systems approach, which is a combination of work done by various researchers across the A&M Institute over the past 10 years to different problems. And I have two examples here. We can see the first example is about carbon capture, where generally, for example, if you take now 95% of the world's hydrogen is made from something called as steam reforming, where you make hydrogen with CO2, but you also get CO2 as a byproduct. And if you want to capture that CO2, maybe we can modify that process to something called as dry reforming of methane, where you take the same CO2, methane, additional methane from some other biogas sources, and you can make hydrogen, you can make carbon monoxide, you still have hydrogen, you can make various chemicals. So it's, as I mentioned, you're looking on developing new technologies, which are not only, doing decarbonization, but are also providing incentives by developing new byproducts that the companies can actually make a profit on or actually can sell. So we are incentivizing that decarbonization process. The another example is from a supply chain point of view is water. We talked about lots about in COP about food, water, energy nexus and how water scarcity is important. So many of the chemical processes, energy processes require a lot of water, their purification. So one of the frameworks that have been developed by some of the groups is on efficient water management across these energy producing sites. And these two examples are just a tip of the iceberg. But in a nutshell, what the Energy Institute's unique point is, we apply this, as mentioned, process systems approach to any climate change application, be it in hydrogen, be it in decarbonization, be it in energy, or so on. And now that since we're talking about implementation, I would like to pass it on to my colleague Kostas, who will talk about how to make this implementation more just and at the grassroots level.
Hello, everyone. Niranjan provided in a nutshell the research that is currently taking place in Texas A&M Energy Institute, and then that the colleagues from the Egyptian universities will have very interesting and transformative projects that they will present to you. My name is Konstantinos Pappas. I am the Assistant Director of the Texas A&M Energy Institute. You will hear from me mainly strange words like accessibility in energy, affordability of energy, equity, or energy justice. As we all know, we are living in a world that is far away from considering it as just and fair world. I will refer to some recent results, recent findings from the United Nations Progress Report on Sustainable Development Goal number 7, which is about affordable energy and sustainable energy. As you may see, currently hundreds of millions of people are without electricity. And if we follow this trend by the year 2030, still 680 million people will be without electricity. The global access rate to energy has been is unchanged since 2010. That means that with the exception of 5 countries like Brazil, China, Pakistan, India, and Indonesia that have made some progress, the rest of the world has not been progress at all during the last 10 years. And 2.4 billion people still use inefficient polluting cooking systems in 2020. If in this we add the COVID-19 pandemic implications, we will see that the impact of this pandemic in Africa and Asia, Southeast Asia countries is that 90 million could not afford an extended burden of electricity service. There was a price increase in commodity, energy, and shipping costs, and this resulted to high costs on biofuel production, on solar panel production, and windmills construction. On this, if on this we add the international financial aid, which is decreasing for the second year in a row, this cannot be very optimistic. And I'm also going on energy affordability and availability. That is something that affects recently affects the lives even of the Western countries, very developed countries. For example, in the United States, 8% of low-income households, the low-income households spend 8% of their income to pay their electricity bills. And in Europe, in the European Union, more than 5 countries pay more than 8% of their wages for their electricity bills. To make things more complex, there are tight interconnections of energy with water and food. The lack of access to water has implications for agriculture and the energy sector. This is a graph from recent work we have done with our team on how energy, water, and food are interconnected and how this can be a push factor for economic migration. Having all this in mind, we decided in the Texas A&M Energy Institute to focus on the construction, the development of an energy justice index. This will be a tool that will evaluate the impact of energy transition, electricity pricing, and other interventions. We will use quantifiable indicators like demographic, income, unemployment rate, educational level, health status, climate change data, and with the use of scenario-based analysis, we will test through case studies in the United States and in other countries the reliability of this tool. We aim this tool to support evidence-based decision-making for future investments, but also accounting, energy justice, and consideration. We consider that this is the time for the 21st century to be a more just century and continue on a more fair energy solutions for the people of this world. Thank you very much.
Okay, hello everybody. I am Dr. Badr Osman. I am the head of the Construction and Building Engineering Department, College of Engineering and Technology, Arab Academy. First, I want to say thank you to Texas A&M for this great partnership and this great opportunity. I am here with my colleagues on behalf of College of Engineering and Technology to introduce some of our research. The first project, our first research project is about zero oasis, which is located on the west of Egypt. Zero oasis has been assessed and protected, and also is now under focus to be a big center. So there is need for electricity. Unfortunately, also, zero oasis is suffered from an environmental crisis, as its main power plant is based on diesel generator. which produced 45,000 tons of CO2 emission, and also it is costly in effect. So this project is introduced a solution for sustainable renewable energy system, which is divided into two solutions. First one, which is the short-term solution, it will be based on hyper renewable energy solar system, which is tested economically and technically, and its cost effective proved to be $0.08 per kilowatt. And also it will reduce the emission of CO2 by 31,000 tons of CO2 emission. This is the short-term solution, and this is, of course, a low initial cost. While the long-term solution, which is cost more in initial, it will be based on parabolic dish concentrated solar panel system, which is will achieve a cost of energy to be $0.129 per kilowatt, and also will eliminate all the CO2 emission at all from zero. The second project I will talk about is for subsea trenching excavation, which now highly demand for the expansion of cable and dissemination line and pipeline underwater. The subsea trenching system is used to excavate the soil underwater, but there is a main problem. It consumes a lot of energy because the subsea trencher cannot declassify the soil underwater. Okay. So the operator adjusts the pressure with this system to the highest pressure needed for the hardest soil. Okay, so it's consumed a lot of energy and also reduce a lot of CO2 emission. The project here will develop already a machine learning model to work as a soil classification. So this system will classify the soil bed underwater for each soil type, and then change and order to the subsea trencher to produce and give the required pressure for each soil. So there will be huge saving in energy and also huge saving in carbon dioxide emission. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Radwa. I will talk about the optimal solution for Badr lakes for shoreline erosion in Badr lakes in South Canada. Shoreline erosion is not only due to human activities, but also due to environmental changes, which also leads to more storms and higher seas risks from climate change. It creates higher currents, leading to coastal erosion. South Canada in Egypt is a limited water area with two open ends, one to the Mediterranean Sea and the other to the Red Sea. Rising of mean sea level in the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea leads to increasing high currents, which directly affect the hydrodynamics of shoreline in the Badr lakes. When a sample of 3 kilometers studied in the south of Badr lakes, in the eastern south of Badr lakes, it found that 34 kilometers square has been eroded and 39 kilometers square has been sedimented during the period from 1985 to 2021. The proposed study will find the optimal solution for shoreline erosion in Badr lakes and in the long term in South Canada in order to increase the economic growth in South Canada. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Construction industry is one of the important industries in the city world, on economy and society. Furthermore, it has a harmful impact on the environment and climate change. Wood and concrete are major components of construction and relation with landfill. If we can managing and recycling this huge quantity of waste to produce bioenergy, it seems a good idea. We use Aspen Prices software to simulate the technical process and improve the efficiency of the process by applying HIN and MEN technology. Also, we simulated the combustion of biodiesel. The result shows that wood can be produced biodiesel, high purity biodiesel can meet the requirements, and the HIN and MEN technologies that can decrease the cost of construction this unit or this factory by 26%, sorry, and 40%. Also, the combustion simulation of biodiesel shared that the carbon emissions is decreased by 9% and the energy consumption by 13%. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here in behalf of my final year students because they are in their classes. I'm Ahmed Hamza. I'm from Assuit University. Before I go to the next slide, I moved from Sharqiya to Assuit in 1981 because my score is not enough to join Cairo University, Shams University, and Alexandria University. And there are many vacancies for students from north of Cairo to go to south. Then I noticed I stayed over there, I worked over there, I noticed that every year the universities in the south have more vacant space for the students to come from north of Cairo to study in Upper Egypt. And from the technical point of view, I'm thinking why this is happening. And when I became professor, I asked one student from architecture engineering to go inside elementary school or primary schools to measure the temperature the whole year inside the classes. And unfortunately, I find the students stay over 70% in the school over thermal stresses. And this is why, because we have a unitary examination, finally, secondary school, all students pass same exam, whenever they have the score, they are legal to join Assuit University or Alexandria or Cairo. So the examination doesn't separate between north and south. The chance for the people in Upper Egypt due to stay in the classes and under thermal stresses does not give more chance to join the spaces located in their states. This is why the students from north of Cairo join and occupy many places. And I come to my mind how we can find a comfortable condition inside this classroom. And I worked more than 5 or 6 years with the students only, not in a graduate level. And next slide. What we think is we have underground water in Assuit or in some places, and underground water all over the year at depths of 20 meters, between 18 and 20 degrees Celsius. And I'm thinking, with the student, we started only to dig 2 wells to check the water, and in the second year, we get a pump, and we drive the pump by electricity, and then another year, we drive the pump by photovoltaic system. Then we extracted the water, and we bring fan coils, normal fan coils, inside the lab. The lab is in the last floor. It means subjected to heavy solar intensity. It means from end of March to end of October, this lab is very hot. I simulated what can be done inside the schools, and then and the students start to every year we added something to the project, and then we find good things. This system is completely environmentally safe. We never use now for the system, the grid electricity. We never use an period-based air conditioning system. Only we use the water underground. We do not destruct the environmental system. We extract the water from one side, and then when the water carries the heat of the lab, we dispatch again in the ground. So we do not disturb the water system or ecosystem. We find good things. The indoor temperature, with the outdoor temperature in 42, we can reach 26 Celsius. And this system maintenance is too low because just pump, pipelines, photovoltaic panels. And if we added an inside the lab, a small fan and ceiling fan, the student feel comfort. We tested the comfort, the university student, not the primary school students. And they said it's better when we stay in a system of ground cooling system with than if we stay without any cooling. That we hope in the future to start to make a prototype in a real school and to follow this system with 10 years. As example, the student will join after when he has 6 years old, and then we will see his grade when he become in the 6th grade, comparing it to similar school without cooling system, how the score, how the progress of the kids will be. I wish to have a prototype of this one, and thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm Mohamed Hamdi, and I'm from Zagreb University. Me and my colleague here will represent Zagreb University and 3 successive projects. The first one, which is solving the renewable intermittency. Of course, intermittency can be seen as Achilles heel to the existing power systems, and of course, there are many solutions to this problem. One of it is from the grid perspective or the power system perspective. We will not talk about this here, but we will talk about solving this problem from its roots. The first option is that we try to have for dispatchable load planning. The base load or dispatchable load will consist of hybrid system consisting of wind and solar PV, and the energy source that will be required to supply the load will be flow batteries and fuel cells. Of course, we tested this case in 5 locations across Egypt. We found that the best location for or the minimum realized cost of energy could be in South El-Baz, which has, let's say, diurnal and seasonal good characteristic for wind and solar energy. For the base load, we have a levelized cost of energy of 8.3 cents US$ per kilowatt hour, and for the dispatchable load, we have around 8.6 cents per kilowatt hour. The second option deals with power to X. This scenario deals with we have a hybrid plant of wind and solar PV. Then we clip the load at a certain limit. Above this limit, we supply this energy to the electrolysis system to produce hydrogen. Below this limit, we supply, let's say, less intermittent resource to the grid. So we have here, in this case, capacity factor for the hybrid plant around 80%, of course, based on the maximum capped energy. And we reached levelized cost of hydrogen around 1.9 US dollar per kilogram. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Isa, Chief Research Assistant at the Department of Engineering Zagreb University. I talk about the Sustainable Zagreb University Campus project. This project is aimed to optimize the energy, the power supply system with the minimum dependence to the grid, and using the grid system as a sustainable power source. Also, the project started at 2019. The first stage is completed at 2021 by a 105 kilowatt PV system already installed in 6 building at Faculty of Engineering at the University. The rest of project, or the second stage of project, is already in progress. It consists of two main projects. The first project is energy efficiency in all campus building, and the second project is a PV system for all our campus. The first project is an efficiency, studying the energy efficiency opportunities in all campus building. This project includes using the high efficiency system in all buildings. Also using a high efficiency air conditioning system installed instead of the old one. This in turn will reduce, or this in turn will correct the power factor of the campus and reduce the peak demand. Also, we design a PV project as a sustainable power source for all campus. The total consumption of our campus is about 8 gigawatt hour in 2021. And the first project, energy efficiency project, aims to achieve an annual electricity saving of about 2 gigawatt hour. And this was about 10 million ELB. The second project of PV system is our secondary storage. The secondary system capacity is about 3,000 kilowatt. And this capacity also is 43 million EGB and will produce an annual electricity production of 5 megawatt hour, 5 gigawatt hour. The overall project. The overall project capital investment is about 52 million EGB and achieve an annual saving about 11 million EGB. And the simple period of the project is about 5 years. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Abdelfatah, administrator at the Faculty of Engineering, Zagreb University. Our last project for Zagreb University is a stochastic modeling for the evaluation of electric vehicles and their energy and environmental impact in Egypt up to 2040. Our software program is divided into 3 models. The first one is the PCO model. We can compare the total cost of ownership for the electric vehicle, and on the other side, the ordinary gasoline vehicle, to see what is the penetration rate for the electric vehicles to be in our market and how we can increase this ratio for penetration for the electric vehicle. The second model, charging model, is very critical for our case because we want to know what is the number of charging stations that we need to be in the next years to be enough for our electric vehicles, cumulative electric vehicles up to 2040. We can calculate the saturation number for the stations have been existed or planned to be existed in the next years. The last model, environmental model, In this model, we can calculate some energy and environmental saving opportunities. What is the number of net saving ton of oil equivalent? 3.55 million. We can find that we can save 3.55 million ton of oil equivalent. And for carbon dioxide equivalent, we can save 3.81. And the market, all over our project, we can find that the market share can be from 30 to 45%. We can increase this number by using some strategy for our input for our project.
So, hello everyone, this is Mohamed from Galala University. I'm an assistant professor over there. I would like first to thank Texas Energy Institute for the organization, the introduction, and of course TIEC for putting us all together. At the end of the day, today's event is because putting everyone and all the universities over here together. I'm glad that I would be representing today Galala University. That's why I'd like to speak not only on my faculty, but also on everyone at Galala, what we are doing, and showcase both whatever we are doing in the engineering department, also other departments around, relative to climate change and energy. Typically, at Galala University, we derive our own strategy based on the national strategy. I'm speaking about strategies like Egypt Vision 2030, the Climate Change Strategy 2050, and the Integrated Sustainable Energy Strategy 2035, which is, for example, providing or setting Egypt to have 42% of renewable energy mix done, or of the whole energy mix done by renewables by 2035 and 61% by 2040. Such strategies, along with our own interest in sustainability and our commitment to the environment, has shaped both our educational programs and also our research focus. That's why at Galala University, you can see climate change and sustainability a part of each and every course program designed and delivered at Galala University. In addition to this, we have different research professors and departments working on relevant topics. Some among them is the green building and architecture, represented by my colleagues over here, Dr. Zeb as an example, marine biology, and last but not least, a huge range of thematic topics in the energy sector. Just to give you an example, we are working on more or less relevant topics to solve the current challenges that are being faced by the ISTS, or Integrated Sustainable Energy Strategy, among others, such as energy market design, energy policy, energy regulations, the integration of study for renewable energies, in addition to other emerging topics. And when I'm speaking about emerging topics, is that like the highlighted topics within this conference at COP27. I'm speaking about hydrogen or about WEX. I'm speaking about ammonia, liquefied synthetic gas, syngas, among many others. This is in addition to the current plans for electrification or sector coupling, like electric vehicles, which I believe most of you have already tried it out at COP27. And I would believe this would give you a kind of an overview of whatever we are doing in research and education programs in the very short time of my presentation. However, this did not stop us from more or less taking our own initiatives, even in our own campus. That's why we started with a few simple initiatives, however, very effective. One among many is the assessment and reporting of our greenhouse gas emissions based on Scope 1 and Scope 2 greenhouse gas emissions aligned with the greenhouse gas protocol. In addition to our water and energy management, to optimize our own energy use and use the energy whenever we are producing renewables in this case. And last but not least is also to have a share of renewable energy production in our own campus. So far, currently, we are in the commissioning phase of 150 kilowatt peak power plant over the administrative building, which is meant to cover around 30% of our demand in the meantime. However, that's not it. There is even more coming. Can we go to the next slide? So we do have plans to rely 100% on renewable energy in our campus and to design it to be our own microgrids, including our energy storage to be sustainable to the current technical extent. Another initiative in plan is the electrification of the on-campus transportation and in-tracing bicycles. This is a photo of our campus. However, it would be great if you can pay us a visit. It's a huge campus. That's why we typically use currently minibuses or walking to move from one building to another, which could take around 20 to 25 minutes. However, with the current plan is to ask our students to replace bicycles, to do a bit of sport to minimize our carbon footprint, and to electrify over the current minibuses currently moving around our campus. This is in addition to waste management to more or less upgrade it, even though we are doing recycling. However, we are intending to integrate an advanced and more sustainable trash management system. And last but not least is e-education, to rely heavily on electronic platform or internet platform to communicate with our students and minimize the exchange. And this among others. Just for the sake of time, I would like to conclude my presentation and definitely invite you to visit our booth right over in the green zone to see how the students have designed it and to make it eco-friendly 100%. Thank you very much.
Let's have one more round for all of our presenters today. Thank you for joining us. It's been very, very nice to hear about all these opportunities. I'm sure they're going to be around to talk. I want to thank once again Arab Academy of Science and Technology, Assuit University, Badr University, who unfortunately couldn't be here, Cairo University, a very important partner of us, who also brought some representatives from Zagazig University and Galala University. And that concludes our time. Hope you enjoyed the showcase.